everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. We have a lovely, intimate live studio audience here. And of course, you watching at home. And we really appreciate all the wonderful emails and phone calls I've been getting about the cable show. It's been a very positive thing. People have been feeling very connected to what we're talking about here, and I think it doesn't have anything to do with me. It really has everything to do with the other side. We've been finding with every show, the other side are bringing people together during the show. People are resonating with how the other side is coming through, and finding that you don't need a medium to connect. And I think that's what the show is all about. And if you think about the title, "A New Day," isn't that what we're seeking? Don't we want to feel a little refreshed and empowered when we're going through grief? And I think the one way to do that, since unfortunately we can't bring them physically back, is that we can feel spiritually connected to them through the signs and how they come through to us every day. And I feel very blessed that we have a very active audience, and I have 2 volunteers here that have been very kind to come up. And we're going to talk just a little bit about how they have been a personal medium, how they personally have connected or have had seen some signs from their loved ones. So if you'd like to share,
Sure.
I would really love it and really appreciate it.
My grandfather and I always had a very close relationship. He died when I was a junior in high school in 1998, and as hard as it was to lose him, it was even harder in a sense because my grandmother, who actually is still living now, she's 90 years old, we almost really lost her too. She was so grief-stricken that she lost all hope and her personality. And my grandfather, besides this experience and other ones as well, it comes to me in my dreams. And I had a dream that year that my grandmother, my mother, and I went to New York City. And my grandmother was very hesitant and did not want to go, basically, kicking and screaming to New York, why would you not want to go? But for her, she just wanted to stay home. She just wanted to grieve. But when we brought her there, she started to pick up, she started to smile. It was the place where my grandmother and grandfather had spent their honeymoon, and they were married for 50 years. And before all this, she kept saying, I want to hear his voice again. I want him to come to a dream to me like he does with you. Why won't he come visit me? And while we were in New York, she woke me up in the middle of the night and she said, he came to me, he finally came to me. And he put his arms around me and said, Maria, you will never be alone. I am always with you, and I will always love you.
So beautiful. What
Yes.
a beautiful story.
And from that moment really on, I got my grandma back.
Oh, that is so
Yeah,
beautiful.
so-
Now, why do you suppose it's easier for someone to get a visit while you're dreaming? Any idea?
My mind is open, free. There's no our reasoning or analytical,
Exactly.
anything holding us back from this can't really be happening,
Right. And why do you think it changed for your grandmother?
I think she felt him so much there. She kept the whole time we'd pass something or a restaurant they went to on their honeymoon, and she'd reference him and remember, and it was the first time we really saw her smile again since he had passed away.
So grief sometimes can cause fear, and fear can block us connecting. And so by you giving her that gift and that safety of a physical safety of you being there, going to New York, it brought down the wall of fear, and what was able to rise over that fear was the spiritual connection she has. So if you're wanting to hear from your loved ones, know that it's going to be difficult in the beginning because grief is, we all know, it's like a drowning kind of feeling. We can't breathe. We can't think about going to the places where they used to be. We can't think of it because we fear getting emotional. We fear facing that mountain of despair, and it is a difficult thing to face. Grief, from a medium's point of view, is separate from connecting. So we have to look at grief as a separate process.
Right.
But if we feel brave and we're courageous and we do it out of what? Love. The idea of going to New York is fearful because you're afraid, I'm going to cry, I'm going to get upset. And that's a very real fear, and it's an understandable one. But if you can slowly, at your own pace, and your grandmother did it at her pace, with the help of loving family, you can start to introduce some of the things. And I say to my clients, if you're having a really bad day and you've grieved really heavily the day before and you've had a little release, the next step is to say, let me find one thing I can do to honor my loved one. Physical. Because what you're doing is not only are you showing them, I know you're still with me, I know you're connecting, but you're taking your own spirit and you're taking a brave step into saying, now I can feel safe, not fearful, in those physical surroundings. And then what happens is similar things as to what happened to your grandmother. That's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you
I really
very
appreciate
much.
it. Would you like to share?
Sure. I had a best friend of 14 years, and he was murdered. And we
So sorry.
never found out who did it or anything. And I took it. It was really hard on me because he was one of my friends where I could call at 3 o'clock in the morning just because I couldn't sleep, or if I had an emotional day, I could call. He was just always there. Always knew the right thing to say to pick my esteem up or to pick my day up and make me happy.
Sure.
And he passed, and then years and years went by, and I always think about him. And then one day it was a weekend, and different weird things kept happening over the weekend. It was like a Friday it started. My cell phone, every time I would get on my phone and I'd have a conversation with somebody, it would sound like a white noise coming through the phone. And at first it like scared me, so I would just hang up the phone. It made like the hair on the back of my neck stand up. So it kept doing it, and then it did it again, so I decided to stay on the phone. So I'm on my phone and I'm listening, and it sounds like, almost like something was transmitting through the phone. Like I could hear like a computer, I don't know, it was just weird, like a voice coming through.
Like a little pattern.
Yeah, and then the person that was on the phone with me, they had hung up the phone and they were trying to call me, but they couldn't get through. But my phone said that I was still on the phone with them and I had the minutes up and everything. So I kept saying, who is this? What do you have to say to me? Who is this? And the voice said, it's Rodney. And his name was Ronnie. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I just immediately started crying. And then the phone went dead. And then later on that night, I was in my kitchen, turned the lights on, and I have 3 bulbs, and they kept flickering 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. So I was like, okay, that's weird. Then I go back to my room, and I lay down in my bed. My phone rings. It does it, the same thing does it again. It's my friend calling me back. We finally get back on the phone. It does it again with this white noise going through. And so I stayed on with it. I couldn't make the voice out, but it was just, for a long time, it was like a pattern, like something trying to say something through the phone. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him, it's him. So I get up and I have a porch off my living room, and there's a light on the porch. The light has never worked. My landlord came and changed all the electrical stuff in there, put new bulbs in. It never worked. So I said, Ronnie, if this is you trying to talk to me and you're trying to come through electricity, let this light work. And I hit the switch, and sure enough, that light came on, and it never ever worked. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm bawling. I called my mom. I'm like, Mommy, Ronnie came through. He talked to me. She was like, what did he say? I said, I don't know. I can't make it out. It keeps coming through the phone. So then the next day, I get up and I go back to the porch to turn the light on. The light won't come on, and it still won't come back on to this day. It only came on that one time for me. And then I looked outside, and there was a red cardinal and a blue jay, and they were both sitting there, and then they both flew off. So I went to my phone and I start researching if somebody's trying to contact you. I didn't even realize that that day when I seen the blue jay and the cardinal, it was his birthday. And so when I was reading through, it says that they try to connect to you through electricity, your bulbs going through, or you'll see like different types of birds as some type of significance or whatever. So that's That's my story.
It's a beautiful story.
Thank
And if
you.
we think about anything that has a flow, like electricity, lights, telephones, that's a very clear way that they can communicate. EVP, electronic voice phenomena, is something that can be picked up either through white noise or either through silence. You know, so some interesting experiments you can try to do is ask questions and just run a tape recorder and then bring it to, there are people that actually specialize with EVP and they can actually go into the most deepest part, I don't know a lot about it technically, but the deepest part of the tape and start picking up on some noises and responses that they can make back. So just because, and often what happens is when we've had a profound experience like that, you know, I saw your energy fall when you said the next day, I turned the light on,
It
it's
didn't
not
come
there,
back on.
they're not doing it again. More than likely, he's trying to reach you in different ways.
Yeah.
He definitely got your attention.
He got my attention,
Yeah.
and the my lights, they flicker in threes every now and then. And I told my son about it, so he knows about it. So he's like, I'm like, Jared, the lights just flickered. He's saying good morning, or
Yeah, it's energy.
Yeah.
So what I'd love to do with folks that have experiences like that is to take it to another level and recognize that you have more power to be more of an active participant in talking with them. You know, when we are sitting and we're grieving and we have those profound experiences, we feel like something is being done to us, like they're bringing something to us. But I feel you can bring something to them too. Take moments in your daydream-like state. Or I love the fact that your grandfather speaks to you when you're sleeping. When you're sleeping, you can't question. There's a visit and it happens. My hope for you is that you can bring yourself to that point where instead of feeling, gee, there's no more lights, there's only 3 flickers. I mean, I use this example a lot, but imagine if you and I were friends at a diner, and let's say Ronnie started sending you pennies, you know, and let's say like you and I were friends and all I said to you was penny, 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 penny. You'd be like, that's not much of a conversation. Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah.
So I do believe the other side is always trying to find new ways to communicate with us because they want to further the conversation. So my hope for you is that you would challenge them a little bit and start asking them like, what are you doing today? What's on your agenda? I'm doing this. Maybe while I'm doing this, you can send me a sign that represents what you just showed me in a meditation or in a form of daydream. And you will get more of a broader, more of a wider range of symbols. Now, you said his name is Ronnie? Why does he want to say David or Daniel? Or is there like a D connection to him too as well? Because I'm hearing D connected to him, so I'd like to honor that. D, 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 D.
not a male.
It feels connected to him. And he's also writing something. So I feel like he's in your head saying you want to write a book about him, or you want to write certain short stories about him so people remember him. Does that make sense to you too as well?
No.
Okay, just remember I said that because for some
Okay.
reason the male around you wants to be writing things, and he's putting it in my mind on your lap. It's like in his mind he's going, she's going to be writing the book, or it's going to be connected in that way in the book. Now did the two of you go on jogging things or something about the hiking?
No, actually, the day that he passed away, we were walking through Sturbridge Village.
So there's the walk. Okay, so it's almost like this idea of we're walking together or we're doing this thing together. It's funny, he showed me jogging, which shows me his level of energy around you. Very hyper guy, right? A lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
So I feel like in the short time that we're together, I'd like you to, it's hard when you're grieving, but I'd like you to, like, I find it interesting that you're sitting next to this beautiful, well, you're both so beautiful, this beautiful woman who was courageous and brought her grandmother to New York City. And here you're saying, we were at Sturbridge Village together, and I'm getting this message from him saying, go back to Sturbridge Village.
It's
Walk,
so
walk,
funny
walk, walk,
that you
walk.
say that the day that we were at Sturbridge Village, it was like he knew that he was going to die. Because
Wow.
he asked me, what are you going to do without me? I said, what do you mean? He goes, if I die tomorrow, what are you going to do without me?
Interesting.
Oh.
So sometimes our spirit has a premonition and we know, but our brain doesn't know. So in the short time that we're together, what I'm getting from him is this sensation of let's go walking again let's go on this. But his energy is like 50,000. He's like he is like a light bulb. Let's put it that way.
Still.
So just know that he's with you, and I want to thank you for sharing
Thank
the
you.
story. The thing about your grandfather that I want to share is he wants to put his hands in the dirt. So he either was a good gardener, or there's something about him wanting to make things grow and blossom. Does that make sense to you?
He gardened all the time in
Okay,
his backyard.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a theme going on. I won't go into the reason why there's a theme, but just know that he's telling me, I see the idea of making things grow, and he makes me feel very strongly that's something that's going to be representative in your life coming up in the next month. So I want you to look for things that spark your memory of how he used to grow things. And he makes me feel like there's a sibling that is very much like him that does the same thing. You have a
Yes.
sibling who's very,
Yes.
he's kind of giggling, goes, this pretty girl put her fingers in the dirt? I don't think so. but they're, so he's teasing you. He has a funny sense, dry sense of humor. So in the short time that we're together, I do feel your grandfather around you, but I want to thank you so much for sharing your stories, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry for your losses. But I certainly hope that that helped you see that we all can be a personal spirit communicator. You don't need a professional medium to do that. What I'd like to do now is take a short break, and what you're going to see is an opportunity for you. Imagine if you can be part of public access television and have your own program, or be part of the programming team. I'm so lucky here to have a crew of folks. They are so well trained, so professional, so good looking too, I might add. And they're really doing a great job because of the training that they get here at Cox Public Access. And there are 3 locations in Connecticut. There is one in Cheshire, Connecticut, one in Manchester and Enfield. And if you do take a few moments to listen to this short public service announcement, I'm sure you'll get yourself excited about getting involved. Thank you.
Quick question. Do you know where this majestic facility is located? I bet you didn't know we were still here. Getting started is easy. Coming down and filling out forms. That's right. You can use our studio or Pro HD cameras, all for... Before you know it, you're in the editing booth smashing clips together like a modern-day Charlie Chaplin. He didn't have Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, but we do. Let's get your idea to broadcast. So check us out. Bring your story to life. Here at Cox Public Access. You produce it, we air it.
We're back. I have such a lovely audience here. It's so hard not to stay involved in the show, but they're really lovely, and I really appreciate them being here. And I'd like to welcome this impromptu guest. I felt someone around her, and she volunteered to come up, but I do feel a female around you, and I'd like to honor her presence. I feel an older female with her, too, so I'm feeling like a grandmother and a mother figure that are passed. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Okay, that's what I'm feeling. I want to go to the very maternal woman that feels very much like a mom figure to you. She feels this way to me, so I'd like to honor her presence. She tells me recently there's been something about you putting the family history together, or she's lining up like these books, and she's going through them going, oh, and that's when you graduated, oh, and that's when the baby was born, and oh, I'm so sorry. Does this make sense? Okay, I'm so sorry. I know it can be a very emotional thing. And I thank you so much for sharing and being here. And I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but I do feel this woman to be very loving. And it's almost like when you cry, she wants to start crying too. You know, so I'm starting to get emotional myself because I feel her love for you and her connection. Is there a Catherine, Caitlin, Carrie, Colleen? It's like a hard C or K connection that she makes me hear around her. Does that make sense to you? I want you to look to the family of 5, 3 children and a set of parents. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Where's the hard C or K there? Because that's what she's telling me.
Claudette?
That would be hard C or K. Okay, so I feel like it's her way of validating or saying hello to them. So she's like going, I want to say hi to them. And when she speaks all of a sudden, now when she finally makes a connection to someone, now she's talking. So this shows me that this maternal figure had a very intimate relationship with you. Very, like you got emotional, she got emotional. She understands you emotionally. I'm so sorry. But know that that's because you're feeling her energy. You're feeling her energy around you. And I want to let you know that her shotgun way that she came to me, it was almost like she emotionally got to me and she said, talk to her, bring her here. It was an emotion, it wasn't words. But then when she started to talk about the people around her, she needed to speak to you. So this shows me that her relationship to you, it almost feels like sisters, you know, in energy. It's like that's how close you are. But then when she looks at the outside world, she goes, hey, look at Claudette. Hey, look at the family of 5. There's now a discussion about the outside world. I don't want to say she's a gossiper, but there is some energy about her being really interested in other people's lives, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't want to be mean and go, she gossips.
No.
But she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
There's a sweet, gentle quality about her. And it's like when you start crying, it's like I'm starting to cry. And it's because I feel her love for you. Now, she had cancer connected to her?
She had brain cancer.
I'm so sorry. That's a difficult, gosh, it's a difficult thing to watch someone that you love go through. Now I need it. Excuse me. Trying to keep my cool.
I wrote her a letter.
Okay. Know that on some level from her viewpoint, the brain cancer did not affect the activity happening around her. She tells me that you brought the hospital to her home. Because first she showed me the hospital and she said, no, we had it at home. They brought everything for me at home so I was comfortable. Okay, so that's evidence. But she's saying, but you guys are noisy. So, but she's saying it in a very loving way. Excuse me. She had also something that intubated her throat, pierced her throat. Excuse me. She made my throat feel like a desert all of a sudden. And there's something about either quenching her throat or doing something for her throat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's thanking you for that. And I want to say, and when they make me feel that, it's to match the emotion of what she was just showing me.
I'd do the tea.
I'm sorry?
I would do her tea.
To help her throat. Okay, so just know she's thanking you for that. I want to say the message that she's trying to show me with all that evidence is you thought she did not hear you. But she heard you, and she's joking. It's so noisy. There's so many people here, or there's so many people coming in and out. So she recognized the activity in the room, even though she appeared to be as if she couldn't. Mm-hmm. Correct? So that's the evidence that she wants to bring through. She likes lilacs. I'm smelling, lilacs are those purple flowers. I don't know anything about flowers. It's so sad. Purple flowers.
She has a big bush outside of her house. So
I'm
we used
smelling
to cut them all the time.
She loves them. So she's showing me those purple small flowers that are very fragrant.
Yeah.
So she's bringing that as evidence. She's also telling me that there were like postcards or like these, it's almost like they look square, so to me that's a postcard, but they like show different like areas that she visited or areas.
Bells. Her bells.
Okay.
In the box.
Oh, they're in boxes.
It was a shelf. She collected
square.
bells.
Okay.
And they were in the squares.
And that's where she would travel to?
Yes.
Okay. So she's showing that to me. Now, I didn't see the bells, but what I did see were the squares, and she goes,
yes,
those are the places I traveled.
Yes.
So I hope you can take that as evidence. I also want to say to you that I feel very strongly there's a, it feels like two places that the family, she's talking to me. It's funny. She's so excited. She's going fast now. There are two places that the family visited and either placed her ashes or they placed something to honor her. I don't know if they're ashes or something
her
connected.
ashes. She was cremated.
So they were ashes. Okay. Because she tells me that they're in two different places. So you put them in two different places? That either means two different places or I don't know exactly where I want to put them. I'm torn. Does that make sense to you? Be honest.
We buried her ashes the day of my wedding.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about the other.
I respect that. Prior to doing that, was there some other people on the fence on what you should do with them?
I don't
Or
know
they should go.
anything about
This
that.
could be a message for somebody else. She wanted to tell me, I love the fact that people were fighting over me. I love the fact that people were kind of undecided on where to put my things. Because she gave me a feeling of push and pull. Obviously, the end result is one place, but she's talking about being in two different places. So it doesn't mean that she has to be literally there. It could be the thought process of what people were going through at the time. This proves that she knows what was happening even after she passed. Now, did she have a beagle that passed? I'm seeing a very small dog It's not the hot dog dog. I'm so bad when I
She
see
didn't
things.
have a dog.
I'm seeing a dog there, so I need to honor that there's a dog connected to the family that's coming through. And what's interesting is
My grandparents
Okay.
had a dog.
okay.
but
Well, there's an older woman there, but I want to honor in the short time that we have together. It'd be really interesting if you could find out if there is some joke about like one of these ladies getting used to the dog because they're not crazy about them, and she's like taking like a brush and a pooper scooper, and she's going, the dog's here, just let them know the dog's here. So there's got to be some joke about this woman not liking dogs, or the grandmother doesn't like dogs. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I want to let you know, the dog to me looks very short and small. It's not a big dog, and I feel like it's connected to the family, so somebody needs to know that the dog's there. But in the short time that we're together, she had to come through. She had to validate those things so that you know that it's her. And what I absolutely love about her is she lets me be myself. And that's the beautiful thing. She does that with people all around her. So I want to thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
her with us today. Let's give her family a round of applause. Thank you. You could stay right there. I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's really an honor for me to be able to connect, but I want to say that the only way that I can do that is because the person I'm reading is here. I can't just be at home and connect to random people on the other side. It's because of the love, the energy, and the connective energy that makes mediumship possible. But my secondary job as a medium is to give the power back to you, to say that you don't need a medium to connect. You can do it yourself. And the way to do that is to put yourself, hopefully every day, in a daydream-like experience. Close your eyes and trust spirit. They know the truth. They know you miss them, but they also know that you're looking for them. So ask them questions, see what you see, hear, and feel, and when you get that information, ask them to show it to you in a sign that day. Miracles will happen, and you will know that your loved ones are with you. So I want to remind you that your loved ones are only a heartbeat away, and when you find that heartbeat, know that it'll be a new day. Have yourself a good one. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. I know that was